Welcome back to Darker Things, where we delve into history's most disturbing events and mysteries. I'm your guest host, John Stack, and today, we're unraveling one of the darkest and most haunting unsolved cases in American history, the Black Dahlia. Did you know that over 2,000 unsolved murders are still haunting the streets of Los Angeles? That's right, and one of the most chilling cases is the infamous Black Dahlia. Today, we're diving into the dark and twisted tale of the unsolved murder of Elizabeth Short, which has captivated the public's imagination for decades. This case isn't just a crime story, it's a glimpse into the gritty underbelly of 1940s Los Angeles, where glamour and darkness collided. So let's break it down. Elizabeth Short was found dead in January 1947, her body mutilated and posed in a vacant lot. This shocking discovery sparked a media frenzy that swept the nation. Newspapers dubbed her the Black Dahlia, and her story became sensationalized overnight. But the real kicker, the police had no solid leads. The investigation quickly turned into a game of cat and mouse, with countless tips, wild accusations, and a public desperate for answers. Everyone was talking about it, from housewives to Hollywood stars. The mystery surrounding her death gripped the nation, leaving people captivated and horrified by the gruesome details. Now, let's turn our attention to some of the most intriguing figures linked to the Black Dahlia case. Over the years, many suspects have been identified, each with their own mysterious connections to Elizabeth Short. Some were Hollywood insiders, others were doctors, and still, others were men with dark secrets hidden just beneath the surface. Let's take a look at the key suspects in this case that has baffled investigators for decades. One of the most infamous names connected to the Black Dahlia case is George Hodel, a wealthy and prominent Los Angeles doctor. Decades after the murder, it was his own son, Steve Hodel, a former LAPD detective, who pointed the finger at his father. Steve uncovered disturbing evidence that linked George Hodel not just to Elizabeth Short, but potentially to other unsolved murders as well. It's alleged that George Hodel was performing illegal abortions during a time when they were not legally sanctioned. His medical expertise and connections in Hollywood's underworld may have put him in contact with vulnerable women like Elizabeth Short. His involvement in these illegal activities, combined with his surgical skills, has fueled speculation that he could have been responsible for Short's gruesome death. Steve Hodel's suspicion grew when he discovered a photograph that he believed to be of Elizabeth Short among his father's belongings. He also found links between the precise mutilation of Short's body and the surgical techniques his father would have known. But the most chilling discovery was a recording captured by the LAPD, where George Hodel is heard saying, "Supposin' I did kill the Black Dahlia. They can't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary because she's dead." Then there's Mark Hansen, a nightclub owner who is deeply embedded in Los Angeles' glamorous, yet gritty nightlife. Hansen knew Elizabeth Short personally, and it's believed that Short even stayed at his home for a period of time. Theories suggest that Hansen, angered by Short's rejection of his advances, may have played a role in her gruesome death. Hansen's connections to gangsters in the area further fueled the speculation that he could have been involved. While he was a person of interest early in the investigation, police never found enough evidence to officially link him to the crime. Leslie Dillon was a bellhop and aspiring writer who became a suspect after he sent letters to a psychiatrist about his morbid fascination with the Black Dahlia case. Dillon seemed to know details about the murder that hadn't been made public, leading investigators to believe that he may have been more than just a curious onlooker. Dillon even suggested another suspect in the case, but investigators grew suspicious of him due to inconsistencies in his story. Despite this, there was never enough evidence to tie him to the crime, and many believe he was scapegoated by corrupt police officers. Believe it or not, Orson Welles, the famous director and actor, has been theorized by some to be involved in the Black Dahlia murder. Welles had a flair for the dramatic and was known for his darker, more macabre tendencies. There are even eerie similarities between a scene in Welles' iconic film, Citizen Kane, and the positioning of Elizabeth Short's body. While these connections remain speculative, it adds another strange layer to the endless list of theories surrounding this case. Dr. Walter Bailey was a surgeon living near the crime scene, and some believe he had personal connections to Elizabeth Short's family. His medical background made him a suspect, especially given the surgical precision involved in Short's mutilation. Though Bailey was never formally investigated, modern theorists have resurrected his name as a potential suspect. His proximity to the crime and his medical expertise remain suspicious, even though there is no direct evidence to implicate him. Finally, there's Robert Red Manley, one of the last people known to have seen Elizabeth Short alive. Manley, a traveling salesman, had given Elizabeth a ride and dropped her off at the Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles just days before her body was discovered. Though early theories pointed to him as a potential suspect, Manley's alibi checked out, and he passed a polygraph test, eventually being cleared of any involvement in the crime. As you can see, the list of suspects in the Black Dahlia case is long, with each individual bringing their own set of questions, mysteries, and dark secrets. Yet, despite the efforts of investigators and the public's unrelenting fascination, no one has ever been officially charged with Elizabeth Short's murder. And perhaps that is what makes this case so compelling. Just when you think you've solved it, another theory emerges, leaving you wondering if the real killer is still out there, lurking in the shadows of old Hollywood. As we dig deeper into the investigation, it's essential to look at how these suspects' lives intertwined with Elizabeth Short's final days. Theories about Elizabeth's life and her ties to Hollywood only intensified the intrigue. She was a struggling actress, often seen in the glamorous circles of Los Angeles. But what was her real story? The media turned her into a tragic figure, and the cultural impact of this case reached far beyond the crime itself. It transformed how crimes were reported and how people perceived murder mysteries. The Black Dahlia case became a cultural phenomenon, sparking films, books, and countless discussions about crime and morality. Now, let's talk about the most significant piece of evidence that has emerged over the years: an anonymous letter sent to the police that claimed to be from the killer. This letter contained details about the murder that only the killer would know, creating a chilling moment that brought a glimmer of hope for resolution. But, as with many things in this case, it only deepened the mystery. Was it a genuine confession or just another cruel hoax? This pivotal moment highlights how close we might be to solving the case. Yet here we still are, decades later, with more questions than answers. Now, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the Black Dahlia case? Do you think we'll ever find out what really happened? So, to wrap it all up, the Black Dahlia case remains one of America's most enduring mysteries. We've explored the shocking details of Elizabeth Short's life, the media frenzy, the key suspects, and pivotal evidence that has kept the case alive in public memory. The unanswered questions linger, drawing in new generations of true crime enthusiasts. And remember, once you enter the dark, you may never be the same.
Black Dahlia mystery never resolved. Suspects came and went, story left untold. Will Elizabeth Short find justice in the end? Hollywood whispers secrets they defend. Cold case files hidden from the light. Who's to blame for the endless night? Will justice prevail or fade away in the dark? Black Dahlia's story left with a mark. Hollywood cover-ups, truth hard to find. Black Dahlia's memory forever entwined. Will the truth come out or stay buried in the past? Black Black Dahlias, justice will